With the NFL Combine just getting started, let's dive right in and look at some lists of prospects for the Packers as potential targets. But before we dive in, I'd like to thank the folks that joined my very first live stream on my channel for the New York Guardians versus St. Louis Battlehawks game. I understand that the majority of you are probably not into the XFL, but I would encourage you to stop by for future live streams. You can ask me some questions about the Packers or anything else related to the sport of football. I just would like to engage more with my subscribers. And so with that, let's get into this video. Starting off with the number one need, inside linebacker. The Packers need not one, but two starting inside linebackers, especially if Blake Martinez signs with a different team. Fortunately, there are some good options in the late first and second round to acquire a possible starting rookie inside linebacker. As of now, there are three inside linebackers that would project to go in the first round, with Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, who will not be available at 30. It's very likely that he will go into the top 15, but there are two other names that could be available at 30 for the Packers to take, and that is Oklahoma's Kenneth Murray and LSU's Patrick Queen. The projected second round guys that might be dark horses are Texas Tech's Jordan Brooks, Oregon's Troy Dye, Michigan State's Joe Bachie Jr., Malik Harrison out of Ohio State, and LSU's Jacob Phillips. And then you have Anthony Jennings from Alabama. He is more of a versatile linebacker. There are some other inside linebackers that could be on the Packers' radar, and the second biggest need is wide receiver. And this draft is chocked full, and it's very deep, with about as many as 8 wide receivers could go into the first round. Leading off with Alabama's Jerry Jeudy and Oklahoma's CeeDee Lamb. These guys are almost guaranteed to not be available at 30, so I wouldn't expect either one of these two to be selected by the Packers, but there are plenty of receivers that very well could slide all the way to the number 30th overall pick. So at 30, there's a small chance that you could see Henry Ruggs III out of Alabama drop to the Packers, but don't count on it. But fingers crossed, if he does drop, look for the Packers, and they should not hesitate to take Ruggs. The same thing goes with Laviska Shenault out of Colorado, Clemson's T. Higgins, who I believe is a little bit underrated. He seems to be a pretty well-rounded receiver, so Higgins is definitely a good option. Then you have TCU's Jalen Reagor, who is rumored to be getting a little bit of interest from the Packers. And then you have LSU's Justin Jefferson, very well-rounded receiver as well. So the options in the bottom of the first round at 30 are plentiful for the Packers. Should the front office decide not to select a receiver in the first round, there are certainly plenty of options in the second round. The guys to the right are obviously really, really talented players. They are probably not in the upper echelon of the first round talented players. A good portion of these guys can come in and start right away for the Packers. It may take a little bit more time for them to become a Pro Bowl talent, but we certainly could see some diamonds in the rough drop to the Packers at the 62nd overall pick, like Minnesota's Tyler Johnson or Michigan's Donovan Peoples-Jones. So keep an eye out for all of these receivers, and of course this is just a short list, but these guys are projected to go in the second or the third round and could be available for the Packers on their day 2 picks, whether it's 62 or 94. And now to the number 3 need, which I think is an underrated need, and that is 3-4 defensive end. This class of 3-4 defensive ends are not very good this year, and the unfortunate thing that picking at 30 is that we're going to miss out on on Auburn's Derek Brown and South Carolina's Javon Kinlaw, but there is definitely a really good chance to get Alabama's Raekwon Davis. Raekwon Davis would be a very good fit on this defensive line and would be an upgrade over Tyler Lancaster. For the projected second, third round, this is just an approximation. It's not all the way completely accurate. As I've said, that things will change over the course of the next couple of weeks due to combine performances, pro day performances. In the second, third rounds, it starts off with Auburn's Marlon Davis, And then there's Ross Blacklock out of TCU, who is actually been somewhat mentioned in the first round. Could go in the low first, depending on which draft board you look at. And the rest here, Hamilton, Elliott, Rashard Lawrence, those guys are probably more projected to go into the third round. It's kind of unlikely that we pick a guy to start at 3-4 defensive end of the third round. It is better to get that guy early. Another need the Packers could address on day 2 is quarterback. Whether or not Goot and the guys decide to look for the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers, it would behoove them to take a backup quarterback. Because the question begs, is Tim Boyle really the answer? If that's not the case, I could see the Packers take a quarterback that falls to them at 62 in the second round or 94 in the third. On the off chance that if Justin Herbert or Jordan Love, who is getting some buzz in the first round, but may project better as a day 2 prospect, falls to them at 30, and if the front office loves either one of them, don't be surprised if his name is called. Once the combine concludes, I'll have some more videos on NFL draft prospects, so what you can do is subscribe to stay tuned. In the meantime, I should go live for the Battlehawks Dragons game, which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Time on Fox. So I'll catch you guys later. Go Pack Go, and go Battlehawks.